MJ Morris is clearly the best option for Maryland's quarterback spot.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, video content creator for 247 Sports and InsideMarylandSports.com, and host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. MJ Morris is clearly, in my opinion, the best option to be the quarterback for Maryland football. I am not saying that I don't think that Cameron Edge or Billy Edwards can be solid, good options for Maryland football. I talked about it about a week ago or so. I talked about Cameron Edge, and I said Cameron Edge could definitely be a real option in Maryland's quarterback battle. But I do really believe that MJ Morris is really by far our best option. And I will be really surprised if he's not the quarterback for Maryland football. And I have a couple of reasons why. They're pretty simple. And I feel like a lot of people feel this way. I feel like a lot of people kind of grasp what I'm putting on. But a lot of you guys feel, from what I have seen to start, number one, you always start with experience. And MJ Morris has the most experience by far in terms of that quarterback room. Billy Edwards got about a start and a half. If you remember, not last year, but the year before when Talia got hurt, Billy Edwards was able to get some time. He was able to put some starts in, and he did a decent job. Nothing special. There was definitely a little bit up and down, but he got a little bit of experience, and then he also got to basically start the Music City Bowl game. But him and Cameron Edge basically split the reps. And then when we talk about Cameron Edge, really the only reps that Cameron Edge has gotten has been in the Music City Bowl game. He's thrown like a couple passes in some blowout games. But other than that, it's really been Talia for the last couple of years for Maryland football. So Billy Edwards and Cameron Edge never really had to play much. There was never a point where Talia was injured for a really long period of time where either one had to play. And so I look at it and I say experience matters in college football. MJ Morris has the most experience by far in that room. He's made a good amount of starts for NC State. Are the numbers amazing? No. Are the numbers good? Yeah, I think the numbers are pretty good. I think they're pretty good when you start to really dig into it and when you start to really look at the starts that he made. Last year, he made 4 starts, and there was this weird thing going on with how he wanted to maintain his red shirt, and it was kind of a complicated thing, and I'm not going to talk about it a ton. My real point is just that MJ Morris has real experience against some pretty good teams. He got to start against Marshall. He got to play against Duke. He got to play against Clemson. He got to play against Miami. Some pretty solid programs that I don't know. Billy Edwards and Cameron Edge, they haven't gotten to play a Clemson. They haven't gotten to play a Miami. And MJ Morris went in the starts that he made last year and went 3-1. So to start, he has the most experience. And when you dig into some of the statistics of the games, definitely up and down. But when you're only in your second year and you're starting, it's not ever easy to do. So I think when you look at MJ Morris, he definitely isn't the most experienced guy in the world, but he has some starts that he can draw back on where he did some good things and showed flashes of some really high level things. So that's number one reason why I think MJ Morris is by far the best option. He has the most experience. We saw him lead NC State to beat Miami 20-6. We saw him lead NC State to beat Clemson. That's a pretty big deal for them to beat Clemson, where he throws for 2 touchdown passes. We see him lead them to beat Marshall, where he throws 4 touchdown passes. Now, I'm not including the interceptions. He's got to clean that up. He only went 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. It's got to get better for sure. But MJ Morris has a lot of experience in pretty big time games. And I think that matters when we're talking about the quarterback battle. And I think that's the number one reason why, in my opinion, I think he's best fit for the quarterback job, most experience. But honestly, I also think he brings the most balance in that quarterback room in terms of being able to have both sides of the dual threat kind of system where he can run the ball with his legs, but he also can throw the ball. And we've seen that he's thrown the ball for a good amount of yardage in different games. We saw him throw for 265 yards against Marshall. We've seen him. We know he can chuck the ball around. I'm not saying he's an amazing thrower of the football, but I think he provides the most balance in terms of he can also run the ball. And when I think about Cameron Edge and when I think about Billy Edwards, I think, yeah, they're both good at what they do, but it feels a bit one-dimensional to me. Whereas I see MJ Morris as a guy that can do both things at a pretty good level. I don't know if he does one thing at a particularly elite level. I definitely wouldn't say that, but I think he does both things at a pretty good level. I think he uses his legs at a pretty good level. I think he's able to use his arm at a pretty good level. It's not elite. It's definitely not elite. But I think when we look at Billy Edwards and we look at Cameron Edge, and I say they're pretty good well, you could argue that Billy Edwards is a really good runner of the football, but he just doesn't provide much in terms of passing the football consistently that I have seen. And I don't want to go into this year into some games where maybe we're down, and if Billy Edwards is a starter, I don't have a problem with Billy Edwards at all, but maybe he's a starter and it's going to be harder to come back when we're down because he just doesn't have that same kind of accuracy. And some guys just don't have that same ability to just pass for just pass the right way and are the most natural passers of the football. Like if we look at Billy Edwards against Auburn, he went 6 of 20 and yeah, he won the MVP, but I don't know if when you really dig into it, it's like, should he have won it? 6 of 20? That's something that it's scary. So in 2023, in all of his passing attempts, he went 10 of 30. It's like, I don't know. In his starts that he got in 2022 until he was out, he went 28 of 46, 60% completion percentage, which is much better. But I just feel like as a consistent thrower of the football, Billy Edwards doesn't offer a lot of that. And when we look at our team and we look at our strengths, a lot of our strengths on the outside with 2 guys, all Big Ten receivers, 2 of the best receivers coming back in the Big Ten, and Ty Felton and Caden Prather. And it's like, if we can't get them the ball, our offense is going to struggle. And so I look at Billy Edwards and I say, he feels one-dimensional to me. It feels like we have to change our offense a lot. And I don't know if that's something that I would want to do or that the coaching staff wants to do. And yeah, he's going to be a really good runner of the football, but teams are going to game plan for that. Teams are going to feel that coming, where I feel like when I compare him to MJ Morris, it's going to be harder to play against MJ Morris because he could do both things a little bit more consistently in terms of he'll be able to throw the ball more consistently. He won't be quite the rusher that that Billy Edwards is, but he'll be able to still rush the ball and do that at a pretty high level where it's a part of our game plan. So you see what I mean? I feel like he gives us both sides. And then when we look at Cameron Edge, it's a similar conversation, just the opposite side. I feel like Cameron Edge is a really natural thrower of the football, a really talented thrower of the football, but he's a pure pocket passer, it feels like. He's not going to give you much scrambling. He's not the most athletic cat in the world. He's not going to give a lot of that. And I'm not saying that's particularly a bad thing, but in today's college football, in today's football in general, NFL, college, high school, you really prefer a guy that can kind of move, that can get around the pocket. And sure, Cameron Edge is by no means like slow. Like, I'm not looking at him and like he's Tom Brady. Like, he can move a little bit, but it's definitely not as explosive as a Billy Edwards or an MJ Morris. So I look at MJ Morris and I say, yeah, Cameron Edge is a really good thrower of the football, but MJ Morris, I think, compares to Cameron Edge right now throwing the football, but MJ Morris provides a whole nother dynamic in terms of using his legs. So when I look at both of these guys, I say, all 3 of these guys, I say that MJ Morris has both worlds He is able to run it. He's able to pass it. And so I'm looking at it and I'm saying, honestly, the more I think about it, it just feels like MJ Morris is by far the best option right now. He has both sides of the ball where he can run it, he can pass it. He also looked the best in the spring game. I think that's another point. That's probably my third point is he's definitely improved because there was a point where it was like he doesn't have the Maryland system down. He doesn't look awesome in practice. It looks like it's a two-man race between Edwards and Edge, which we all knew wasn't going to be true. But then it was like, I saw him in the spring game. I was like, he by far looks the best. He won offensive MVP. He looks the most controlled out there. He does not, like, I wouldn't, if I didn't know he was our newest transfer quarterback, I wouldn't have guessed it. I would have guessed he's the guy with the most poise. And he looked not really good, but he looked good out there to a point where I was saying he looks like our starter. So there's three reasons why I think right now MJ Morris is by far our best option. He has the most game experience. I think he provides the most upside in terms of passing and rushing, so dual threat ability, as well as number three, he looked the best quarterback in our spring game. So it's hard for me to argue for Edge. It's hard for me to argue for Billy Edwards. I think the one thing that you could say is that they've been in the Maryland offense. They've really been through the Maryland offense. They really understand it. And yeah, to a point that may be true, but MJ Morris feels like he might have caught up and he feels like he knows he's going to understand the offense. We're going to see when it comes down to game time. I could be wrong. There could be a situation where Coach Loxley doesn't even decide the quarterback battle until after the first game or two. I really don't know what's going on with this battle. But it does feel like in my opinion, I think MJ Morris is the best option. But let me know what you guys think. That's just how I feel. I know a lot of you guys have strong opinions on this, so make sure you guys let me know what you guys think in the comments because I'm really interested and I want to hear everybody's opinion and I'm interested in what you guys all have to say. Yesterday, we did the three most crucial defenders on Maryland football team where that will make us successful. This time, we're going to do the three most crucial offensive players that have to play well for Maryland football to be successful. We'll get into that after this ad from the Gametime app. Have you ever wanted to go to a game at the last minute like a Maryland Terrapins game, but finding tickets is hard? I've been there before. Buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guaranteed, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of an event and even an hour after it starts. It's a place to find last-minute tickets and take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Here are my three most important players on the Maryland offense, not including the quarterback. I don't want to talk about the quarterback because I just feel like obviously that's the most important position on the entire team. We just talked about that. So here are my three most crucial players that I think if Maryland's offense is to be successful, these three guys have to play well. And starting off might be a surprise to one of you guys, but I think it's offensive lineman Isaiah Wright. Yes, the transfer from Buffalo. I think he's going to have to be a really good player for us on the offensive line. I think he's actually probably going to start at left tackle for Maryland football. He started 24 games on Buffalo's offensive line, and he did some really good things for them. But I think he's going to be our starting tackle. I think there's a pretty good shot that he starts at either tackle spot for us. And I think I'm looking at it and I'm saying, I think he's one of our best offensive linemen. I mean, I know a lot of people won't know him yet or aren't going to pay him as much attention to the guys up front, but I think Isaiah Wright is going to be huge get for us, and I think he's extremely important. When I think about this Maryland's offense, 5 new starters along the offensive line. And so I'm looking at Isaiah Wright and I'm saying, okay, he's our left tackle. And I think you guys would agree that left tackle is the most important position on your offensive line, unless you have a left-handed quarterback. But the left tackle spot is the quarterback's blind spot, and it's the most important spot on your offensive line. If you don't have a good left tackle, you can have some troubles as a team. And the teams that do have one, it can help a lot. So when I look at the 3 most crucial players that have to play well, I'm looking at Isaiah Wright. He has to play well. He has to play at a high level, I think, for us to be good. Because when I look at it, whoever a quarterback is, it's not a guy that I would say anyone feels 100% about them being a really good player next year. We just don't. That's just not the way it is. None of these guys have played enough football. A lot of these guys, all of these guys have something to prove in that quarterback room, whoever the starter is. And it'll make it so much harder for them to play well if Isaiah Wright, if he's at left tackle, which I think he is going to be, if he's not playing well, he's getting beat on the defensive linemen or beating him. He's getting crushed by Big Ten guys and the blind side. And our MJ Morris is getting hit. Billy Edwards is getting hit, whatever it may be. And they don't feel as confident when throwing the football because they feel like they're going to get hit. And so that's why I look at Isaiah Wright and I say, he's got to be a really high-level player for Maryland football to be successful. And I think that's fair. I think he has to play good for this offense to take another level. My next player is at the receiver position, and I think it's Ty Felton. You could easily argue Caden Prather, and it's kind of hard for me to say, yeah, Ty over Caden, because they're both really good players, 2 of the best returners in the Big Ten. But I think when I look at it, Ty Felton has to play well, and I think there's a little bit something more with Ty Felton in terms of his explosiveness, in terms of his speed, in terms of his route running. But I think that Ty Felton's really, Caden Prather and Ty Felton are 1A, 1B, but I think Ty Felton, in terms of our receiving core, like I said, he's 1A type of receiver for us. He's one of the best returning players in the Big Ten at that receiver position. And the year that he put up last year was really good. He made a jump from sophomore year to junior year that was really special that a lot of people aren't really talking about. Ty Felton wasn't anything crazy his sophomore year, but his junior year, that jump that he made is a really exciting jump. And now I'm looking at him and I'm saying, we need somebody that we can go to get the ball a lot. And I think that's Ty Felton. I think he's going to be our number 1A type of receiver. And yeah, you can look at Caden Prather the same type of way, but in terms of his route running, in terms of his speed, in terms of his catching ability, I think you look at Ty Felton and I'm saying, our quarterback's going to need a guy that's going to be his best friend, that can get open, that can provide explosiveness, that can create a 50-yard gain when it's supposed to be a 2-yard loss, or get some yards that he's not supposed to get. And I look at Ty Felton and I say, he's that type of guy for Maryland's offense. He can be a deep threat. He can be a screen guy. He can be a guy over the middle. He can be a route runner. He can be a contested catch guy. And I think Caden Prather, he's more of a one-dimensional in his game. I think Ty Felton has a little bit more versatility. I think Caden Prather isn't quite as explosive as Ty, but he can make some more special catches than Ty can. But I think in terms of a guy that can get open, a guy that can do a whole lot of different things, Ty Felton is going to be crucial to this offense and this quarterback, whoever the quarterback is. And then my last guy is Roman Hemby. Hemby has to play better than he did last year. He just has to. It's not like he had a horrible year. It's not like it was a bad year, but it felt really mediocre for a guy that's not mediocre, a guy that's a really good football player. And for him to play kind of just mediocre ball, it's like, okay, yeah, our offensive line may have not been amazing, but Roman Hemby has to be better. We don't have Talia to just kind of bail us out of a lot of situations. We're going to have a run game. And the hardest part about it is people are probably going to game plan harder for the run game. That might be a focus on defenses. They might be like, we're going to force Maryland to pass the ball this year. We don't want Roman Hemby to get going. And I'm looking at Roman Hemby, and he's got to average more yards. He's got to create more plays. He's got to do a lot of things in the passing game as well. He might end up being like our third, fourth leading receiver on the team, and he's just got to be able to finish on the goal line, finish in short yardage. We got rid of Antoine Littleton, so we didn't get rid of. He entered the transfer portal, but now Roman Hemby's going to have to be better in short yardage. He's going to have to be better overall because it's going to be less guys in that. It's not less guys in that running back room, but he's been in the program for a while now, and it's like we need Roman Hemby to play at a high level for this offense to be successful with a new quarterback. The passing game probably won't be the same, and we want a running game. Jahmir Young has looked awesome in Nuggets Summer League. I think he's an NBA player. I will talk about that right now. I think Jahmir Young is an NBA player, and I think he's going to get one of those two-way contracts soon. What he did in Summer League when he got the chance to actually play at a high level and play the amount of minutes that he should be playing was really cool stuff from Jahmir Young, and I'm not surprised at all. I could have told you going into it that Jahmir Young was going to probably be a pretty good NBA Summer League player. I think his game translates to that type of environment. I think his game translates to the NBA, but he had a couple performances in Summer League that were special. In his fifth game, in the Nuggets' fifth game in their Summer League game, he had 21 points, 5 assists, 3 boards, led Denver in scoring and assists. And I'm looking at him and I'm saying, this guy has a chance, I think, to find his way onto one of these NBA rosters, to find his way on a two-way contract. I'm in the NBA level and the G League level. It's a really cool thing that I think that Jahmir Young has a really good chance at finding a way and doing that. I was reading some stuff on Twitter, and it was saying this guy is going to be picked up by someone on a two-way deal, and I'll be really surprised if he doesn't. But when we look at what he did at Maryland last year, it doesn't surprise me at all that he's the type of player that he is and that he's got a chance to make it really. Like, this guy's got a chance to really make it, I think. He's got to take advantage of all his opportunities. He can't miss out on anything. But what he did last year at Maryland wasn't normal. Our team was bad. Our team was pretty bad, and so that didn't help. If maybe he got to play in March Madness, if maybe he got to play a couple extra games, maybe it could have helped him. But our team wasn't very good. Our team definitely didn't play at a high level. But in terms of what he did, Jahmir Young, averaging 20 points per game, 4 assists, 5 rebounds for Maryland basketball last year, it was pretty obvious that he was going to have a chance to do something in NBA Summer League or overseas or whatever it may be. And he's older. He's been in college for a while, so a lot of people aren't going to look at him. It's probably a reason why he didn't get drafted and a couple of different things. But when we look at what he's done, he had a 20-point performance, had another game where he had 19 points, and it was pretty obvious that he looked like he was the best player on the Nuggets Summer League team. In the first game, he didn't get as many minutes as he should have. And then when they realized it, it was pretty obvious that he should be playing a ton. But I'm telling you, I think he's an NBA player. I think his game translates. The only thing is he's a little bit small. That's the one thing that's probably holding him back. If he's 6'4", he might get drafted. 6'5", 6'4", he might have gotten drafted. Because look, I think everything else about his game translates. He has shot-making ability, which is a huge thing at the NBA level. If you can't make shots as a guard, you're not really going to get on the game. It's really hard to get to the NBA level if you're not a shot maker at the guard position, or if you're not a forward that's a 3-and-D guy. But he's a shot maker at the guard spot. He's a guy that can score the ball in terms of mid-range, in terms of three-point shot, in terms of getting to the rim. He can really do it all. And so I think his game translates to the NBA. I'm not saying he's an NBA starter or an NBA star. I'm not saying that. But I think he's a guy that can be a good rotational piece for a team. I don't see why not. He's explosive. He's quick. He can shoot the ball. He can create space. He can pass the ball. We've seen that. He rebounds better than he should for his size. The only thing is he's small. And so I'm looking at him saying a team's going to give him a chance, but he has a heart. He has versatility. He knows how to work. And for him, a 20-point game in Summer League and another 19-point game, I'm not surprised at all because I know that that's the kind of player he is. I'm hoping that the Nuggets give him a chance. I think that could be a good fit with the Denver Nuggets, but hopefully someone else, anybody else signs him on a two-way deal because that will be really cool. And we could have another Maryland basketball player potentially playing in the NBA. We got a couple right now that are doing some good things that got paid, but hopefully we can add in another. That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you for listening to Locked on Terps.